Hello mortgage coaches, this is Jacob with support. Today's video is to show you how to put together an 80-10-10 scenario inside Edge, and for the second lien I'm going to show you how to make that a HELOC that's adjustable with prime. So two different parts of this. The first part is the 80% loan, and this is the one that throws people for the most part. Put in your purchase price. Let's say I've got $300,000, and if you want to, you can manually put in the $240,000 that you know is going to be 80% of this. Or you can tell Edge, and this is the part that throws everyone, 20% down payment. Now this is not going to end up having a 20% down payment. We're just telling Edge how much is going to be left after this lien. So we need to make sure this lien is 80%, which means we enter a 20% right here. That gives us an 80% first lien. Now we'll put in our rate and term as we normally would. And then you're going to pull in your closing cost detail. I like to use these templates. They make it a lot faster. And then I'm going to hit apply to loan. And then enter your monthly escrows. And because I'm going to be having a second lien on this one, even though it's going to be at 90% CLTV, I'm not going to need any mortgage insurance because the first lien doesn't exceed 80%. So I'm going to leave mortgage insurance out of this equation. But I do need to tell Edge that yes, I do want a second lien on this. So you hit yes, and then hit the right arrow. Now it's going to ask you for the second lien information. Now notice that we don't have a percentage button on this one. We don't have a toggle here. So you're going to need to know what the loan amount is. Now I happen to know by looking at this, since my down payment $60,000 is 20%, I know that $30,000 is 10%. So I'm going to enter $30,000 in my second lien information. So I'll put in my $30,000, and let's say that I can get them a 5% on that one, and we'll do a 300-month term. Now, when you are doing a HELOC adjustable with prime, you've got to make this an adjustable rate mortgage. So you're going to select ARM there, and then I'll get to the ARM details in just a second here. But the last part of it is most HELOCs are interest only for the entire term. So if that's the case, you want to make sure that the interest only months match the term months. Now we're going to go into the ARM details. This is telling Edge how often I want this to adjust and how much it's going to adjust. So first I'm going to select my index, and we know that this is going to be tied to prime, so I'll select prime. Now if prime's at 3 1/4 and my rate's at 5%, I know that my margin is 1.75. So I'm going to put in my margin. Now you want to consult your guidelines. If there is a floor rate, you'd want to put that in here. It's not going to be necessary for this particular presentation because we're going to anticipate the rates going up rather than going down. Now we need to tell Edge how much we want it to adjust and when to start adjusting and how often to keep adjusting. So what I like to do on these is I don't like to put huge adjustments in for HELOCs. They tend to stay pretty close to what prime is right now. It really hasn't changed for quite some time. But I do want to indicate to the borrower what could potentially happen. So I like to use adjustment points of eighths. So for instance, at my first adjustment point, I only wanted to adjust up an eighth. Now the periodic cap, this is after that first adjustment point. The future adjustments after that, how much do you want them to adjust? I want those to adjust an eighth as well. Now we get to the months. So when's the first month I want this to start adjusting? Now it's already at 5% right now. So when do I want to bring this eighth into play? And I'm going to say I want it to go about 6 months in. Now naturally prime can adjust at month 2, and that could definitely raise their rates a little bit. However, not very realistic. I like to space it out just a little bit because if you were to adjust every single month on prime and go up an eighth, you're going to hit your life cap really quick, and it's going to cause a very high APR at Edge. So instead, I'm going to tell Edge that at the first adjustment month, and I'm actually going to make it month 7, I want it to adjust up 1/8. So at month 7, it's going to go to 5 1/8. Now the next adjustment months field is how often should it adjust after that? And after that point, I want it to adjust every 6 months. So what I've told Edge so far is at month 7, I need you to adjust up 1/8. Then 6 months later, I need you to adjust up another eighth. And every 6 months after that, you're going to adjust up another eighth until you hit a max rate. So here's where you tell Edge where you want it to cap out. So let's say 10% on this one. Now my data entry is done on this. This is going to indicate at month 7 it's going to go up to 5 1/4, 5 1/8, And then every 6 months from there on out, it's going to keep going up an eighth until it hits this 10% max rate. Now, this is perfectly acceptable, and it's probably the fastest way to do a purchase HELOC. However, if you want to specify custom adjustments, you can. So instead of worst case scenario, I could set it at custom. Now, it's brought in my worst case here because that's what the data entry I did up in the other screen. However, what if I wanted to only adjust once a year? So maybe at month 13, I want to bring it up 0.5%. And then at month 25, I want to bring it up maybe 0.25%. And then maybe at month 37, I wanted to bring it down 0.25%. So minus 0.25, and it will go down like that. So you can see that you can schedule the adjustments for however you want them to look. But I will tell you that you probably want to get towards your max rate towards the end of the loan if possible. So I would probably end up deleting a lot of these line items because these were populated by my worst case scenario. But let's say, for instance, my next adjustment month, I want it to be at month 61. It's going to go up a full point. And then maybe at month 73, I want another full point. And then maybe at month 181, I want it to go up a full point. Now, going forward from there, let's say 193, if I put in a full percent right here, you can see that our current rate is at 9.5%. My max rate is at 10. So if I put in a full point here, it's not going to go past 10. It'll still call it, we're just going to 10, and that's it. Now from there on out, it's going to stay at 10 because that's my life cap. So technically, I don't even need to delete these line items. They won't really make a difference here. Month 193 and beyond, it's going to be at 10%. So completely up to you in terms of how you want to show the rate changes over time. Personally, I'd prefer to just use the stock changes like these ones so I don't have to mess with editing customs. However, it's, again, completely up to you. If you want to space them out a little bit, you could potentially even make your periodic adjustment months 12. So what this would say is at month 7, I want it to adjust up an eighth, and then every 12 months after that, I want it to keep going up an eighth until it hits a life cap. In this case, it's never going to hit the life cap because we've got enough time between the adjustments. But it will get pretty high towards the end of the loan term. But that's all there is to entering the ARM details for a HELOC tied to prime, especially on a purchase HELOC. And we've now got it in 80-10-10, and the reason we'll be able to tell is when we hit the right arrow, this LTV point is going to change to 90%. And you can see that right there, it did in fact change to 90%. So we know we've got a combined LTV of 90% with a 10% down payment. Now when we look at this on the presentation itself, let's choose the total cost. We'll preview it. And if we look into the more info sections here, you can see that we've identified the first and the second payments. And then if we look at our closing costs, you can see our loan to value, 90%, so we know we've done the 80-10-10 right. You can see what our down payment is going to be. It's actually $30,000, and this looks correct here. Now, guys, if you have any questions on how to do this, or you need further detail on what these represent, please send us an email over at support@mortgagecoach.com. We'd be happy to help you out with it. Thank you very much, and have a great day. Bye-bye.